Hello, YouTube. Happy Sunday. It's nice and warm outside. And I try not to complain because those of us who travel, we already know the Caribbean and Florida is much hotter than this. So yesterday was kind of hot. But at the end of the day, what y'all want? Y'all want cold and snow? Well, we haven't had a real winter in a few years. So what would y'all rather? Summer or fall? I mean, I'm just grateful for whatever. I try not to complain because it could be worse. That's how I look at everything in life. And I just briefly wanted to talk about Psalm 136, His mercy endureth forever. Is a scripture. The whole chapter is good, but His mercy endureth forever. So whatever you're going through, and it was funny because the weather yesterday describes life. Nice sunny day, and then the rain comes, and you like, well, where did this rain come from? And then look, the sunshine. So I just want to encourage people out there. His mercy endureth forever. Whatever you're going through, the rent going up, His mercy endureth forever. Your child ain't acting right, His mercy endureth forever. That pain in the ass boss, His mercy endureth forever. You don't know how you gonna survive for the summer, His mercy endureth forever. So I just want to encourage people with that scripture. Again, that's Psalm 136. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm just paraphrasing. His mercy endureth forever. So I actually wanted to talk about, I wasn't gonna talk about it, but I'm watching a movie, the Stepdaughter, and I actually seen it 2 or 3 times before, but it's really that good. And the first scene is a funeral, and I just wanted to talk about funerals a little bit, and I wanted to talk about the documentary I seen yesterday. It's called Killing Hip Hop, and I wanted to pose the question of who is responsible for the stereotypes, right? Angela Yee, I'm pretty sure everybody knows who she is. She's a household name with Charlemagne of the Breakfast Club. She's actually been doing radio, which I didn't know, but she's been doing her thing for 30 years, right? So pretty much her entire adult life. She's 48. So, she is the narration, she is the host, and they talk about a few artists. They talk about Young Thug, Lala Brown, Slim 400, and they talk about a Little Bo Peep or Lil Peep, whatever. And I just wanted to briefly talk about you are what you write, and I just wanted to talk to my writers today and I want to talk about a few things. So myself as a writer, most of the poems that are in my book are related to situations that happen. However, some of them are made up, right? But the things that we make up as writers, they're not far-fetched from our realities, right? So unfortunately, Young Thug, he wrote some lyrics and he's in jail now, which is very idiotic on both parties. But you have to understand, a lot of the times these artists or writers or whatever, they're writing from experience, right? So if you're not a gangster and you've never been in the streets, why are you rapping about it? That doesn't even make any sense. And somebody try to compare it to acting. It's not the same thing. Because when you're an actor, you're giving a role. Somebody already wrote it. When you're a writer or a rapper, you're writing it yourself. So why, and I just wanted to say this to all whether you are a singer, I don't care if you're an actress, an actor, a model, always remember, what message are you trying to convey? So really briefly, I wasn't going to talk about it, but I said, what the hell? Let me talk about it so people could be aware. Again, this is not to be offensive. In case if he sees this is not to be offensive. This is so you could grow. All right. I already spoke to this individual in private. but I'm going to talk about it publicly. To all my people that are aspiring actors, you have to be careful with what script that you agree upon. So back in March, I want to say, yes, March of this year, which was very recent, those of you who know or don't know, I am a substitute. I am a substitute para, and I'm in a different schools. So I literally work in whatever school that I want. I could stay in a school for the longest I ever stayed in a school was a year and a half. And I wasn't feeling it, so I left. They asked me to come back, and I was like, I wasn't feeling it. Something happened, and I felt like the principal and the UFT did not handle it correctly. So I left. I kind of low-key regret it because I was offered a permanent position. I didn't take it because I had no idea the economy was this fucked up. Like, your girl graduated 2 years ago, so now I'm in a school that I absolutely love. I hope I come back in September. And I was doing a lot of thinking, and I'm like, this job that I have, I actually prayed for. I actually prayed to be a para, and I've been through a lot over the years. I started in 2016. They laid us off. I went to security, but I could truly say that I love my job. I've been through a lot of things, but I love enriching students. I love educating students. I don't want to be a teacher, but I could be, what I do is we assist in the classroom. We basically make the teacher's life easier. We help them out, right? And I love doing that. I love helping people, and specifically children. I love the sparkle in their eye and Miss V. And I mean, you gotta love that, just the love from children. The love from adults is okay. I could visit an old job, but it's not the same. Like, from a child, it's just so much better. But I digress. So basically, this person was, I want to say underground like me. Yeah, writer. And so he had a play. So me being the person I always wanted to be in a play. Like, I actually was in a play in church, but I had no lines. I had no speaking role. I was the angel, right? So my job was to wear all white, and like, I was the comforter. So like, I didn't so whatever. And then I did like skits as a kid. I remember I played the part of Rosa Parks, and like when I was in elementary in my not school but church. And I remember just saying, I'm not getting up, I'm sitting down. Like, I was so like, my thing in school and throughout my life, I sang. I think I told y'all I always sang in choirs and stuff like that. And once I had my son, I became disinterested in church. Everything shifted. So like, by the time I graduated high school, everybody was going away to school, getting married, getting knocked up. I got knocked up, and so it's just, a lot of people were, I don't know if you want to call it jealous, but a lot of people just didn't agree with how we were conducting our youth services. So they made complaints, and that made a lot of us leave, yeah. So it changed. My choir director left, and then my youth pastor took over, and he's not a singer, like, he's a dancer. So when he took over, it just wasn't the same. It got whack, and yeah. So ever since then, I've been pretty much visiting churches. But one thing I could truly say, I love the Lord. I have a relationship with God, and yes, I do pray. I consider myself very spiritual. I see things before they happen, and I know that when I don't listen to the Spirit of God, I suffer the consequences. So some people call it vibes, women's intuition, but I literally have a connection with God. So if I cut somebody off, it's a little bit deeper than just, I don't like them. It's our spirits are not connecting, and every time I block someone and then I unblock them, I suffer the consequences. every time, you know. So yeah, I met this coworker, and he immediately I had a bad vibe from him. Just his aura, you know. But I didn't want to judge him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he came off a certain way, but I'm like, you know what? I don't know him. Let me get to know him. People out there, when you have a bad feeling about something, listen to it. Listen to it. So basically, you know, he a writer, I'm a writer, so I automatically just supported him, right? So I did that because that's just my personality. I want to see people win. It's good. I like being a blessing to people, basically, right? So, yeah. So I'm like, he's like, oh, you know, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I want to be in a play. Like, not thinking anything of it. And that's another thing I would tell people. If you know you want to be in somebody's play, if they have books out, it's good to read the books and to familiarize yourself as to what type of writer they are. Because I feel like if I would have read his books first, then I wouldn't want to be a part of it, right? So, another thing I wanted to add, you have different types of Christians. I've met a lot of people. Now, I'm not perfect, but I have a conscience, right? So there's certain things I'm not going to do because it just doesn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this particular script was very demeaning, very disrespectful, and just wrong, right? I sent it to like a lot of people, and they all agreed that, first of all, it just doesn't make sense as far as grammar is concerned. Like, the grammar is just like, there's no sequential order. Like, when we was in 2nd and 3rd grade, you learn how to write an essay, introduction, body, and conclusion. You don't see that. And then it's like certain things just don't make sense at all. It's like either he did it in a rush or if it was somebody else's. So that was the first strike. The second strike is we kept having Google Meets rehearsals. So anybody who act, you're supposed to be in person. Again, I'm not thinking anything of it. Also, I was made to be the main character. So me and my personality, even though I never acted before, I felt obligated to do this because I'm like, I'm the main character. I can't just drop out. That's how I felt, you know. But as time went on, I started to realize the red flags, right? He postponed it twice, and he put the blame every time a rehearsal was canceled. He would put the blame on another actor. That was another red flag, lack of accountability. It's just unorganized is like, to say the least. And then he just gave off this aura that he just didn't care. So that was another red flag. Like, this was his script, this was his thing, and you know, he didn't care. Somebody always had to remind him of rehearsals. It wasn't making sense to me. So I decided to do some investigation, right? So that's another thing. We kept asking him because we were supposed to perform May 18th. So we were as the date came to be closer, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my own research on this guy or whatever. And I was like, I need to find something out because nothing is making sense to me. So I took my father out to the opera. The day after we came back I took my son to Disney World. Y'all saw that. So when we came back, I had tickets for the opera, Fire Shut Up in My Bones. That opera was very excellent. I mean, hands down. But so we're in Manhattan. We're in the city. I figure, you know what? Since we're here, let me pop up at the place where we're supposed to perform, right? We get there, they're closed. Okay, cool. We calling. I call like it was like 3 or 4 different numbers they had on Google. I finally get through to somebody, and they're like, they never heard of him. So once I found out that information, I kept it to myself, and I was like, damn, like, wow. I was disappointed. I was in shock. And then I couldn't hold it in, you know. So a week later, I let him know. I was like, yo, they never heard of you. So he thanked me. He was like, oh, thank you for letting me know, XYZ, XYZ. Yeah. So, you know, yeah, he wasn't receptive to correction. You know, we're doing the Google Meet rehearsal, and someone pointed out that it don't make no sense. Like, it literally was all over the place. And she was saying, yo, you need to correct this. He doesn't correct it. It's like, okay, fine. So he didn't have people. There were people that was going through things and whatever. So he didn't have his people. And that's another reason why I held on too, because I felt bad for him that he didn't have people like that. Also, we were not getting paid. That was another red flag. But I figured, you know, I met him at work, and I know that we don't get paid much. So that's how I feel like if I met him, like if I was a security guard and I met him and I wasn't aware of the subpowered salaries and stuff, I probably would have expected it. But the fact that I did work with him, and I do know he's also a subpower, so I know the struggle. So I didn't expect, you know, any money or whatever, because I know the struggle. So yeah, another red flag. So, and then my cousin, he actually is an actor in his community in Connecticut, and he's like, you always supposed to get at least a stipend or some type of payment, which I didn't know, you know, whatever. But these are all things to look forward to in the future. I didn't agree with the script. I'm not homophobic, but I feel like for a Christian play, and I'm using this because quote unquote, that's what he said it was, there should be some type of deliverance. There should be some type of, you know, redemption and positivity. And I did not see that in his work. So again, sometimes, and now I see why you have actors that don't act for years at a time, because it's hard to find a script that you agree with. You know, nowadays, not even just nowadays, just you have people with all different type of ideas and different type of morals, and it's like, well, what the fuck is going on here? Like, you know, so after this experience, you know, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. So they was like, they never heard of him, XYZ. He's like, oh, he look into it. So we all were on the phone, and I was like, do you have a contract? And he goes, yes. So I call again, because he's adamant at this point, like, oh, they lying, this, that, and the third. So I call again, and the dude is like, oh, yes, we have heard of him, but he's the one who canceled or whatever, and he's the one who postponed it, matter of fact. And I was like, so why we not on a website? Because he was very upset by that. He was like, yeah, we, you know, that's messed up, we not on a website. So they said we wasn't on a website because he did not sign a contract. So that really pissed me off. I think that was like that was like, I already was turned off by everything going on. Plus, on top of that, he would say things that made it obvious he was attracted to me. And that's why I feel like the whole acting thing is not for me, because many a times as a woman, it's acting. So you have to pretend to like the person, and I don't know if I could do that. Like, there was no kissing scene with us, but I don't know. It was just, I don't know, like, there was a hugging scene. So it kind of was a blessing that we were on Google Meets. because it would have been very strange for me. You know, he had a weird smell too at work. But, but yeah. So once I found out that he didn't sign a contract, that's kind of what kind of took the toll for me, because it's like, you're not serious about your craft. And I want to stress that, and that's not even what I wanted to talk about today. But I was like, I have to talk about it because there's so many people out there that want to be actors and actresses. And it's like, you got to be careful with these writers and these directors and these producers, because some of them are fucking weird. I'm going to say that. Some of them are fucking weird, and they have other intentions than just writing and producing. They really have demented reasons why they do things. And so I was talking to another actress that was she was like the main person. And I'm going to be nice, and I'm not going to say his name, and I'm not going to say the name of his play either. I'm going to be nice, and I'm not going to do that. But even the actress I worked with, she was very fucking weird. Like, she was like, how she didn't think that this was going to happen. She thought that it was all cap. And I'm like, well, why would you, as a business owner, why would you waste your time if that's how you felt? For me, I believed in him. I really thought that this was going to happen. I really thought I wouldn't have wasted my time if I didn't think it was going to happen. So when she said that, it was weird. And then she told me, oh, if that's how you feel, you should quit. And I'm like, well, you think it's not even going to happen, which is even worse. And it wasn't until I told her that he was talking about her, then she was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to find a spot for us to act now. We taking over. And come to find out, she didn't like keep her promise, which I kind of figured, because she agreed to have my book signing at her store. So those of y'all who know, I am an author myself, the girl who turned into a woman. And I never had a book signing. So I don't regret meeting this guy, because he actually did put the battery in my back to have a book signing, which I will do. I'm still trying to find a spot. One particular girl who has a bakery, I put it up on here. She hasn't given me a date. My other homegirl, she hasn't given me a date either. But I need to do the footwork. I need to coffee shops. I need to get out there. Like, he really did put the battery in my back, and before this year is over, I will have a book signing. My second book will come out. I've been a little lazy, I'm not going to lie, with my second book. But meeting him, the blessing was to go forth. His mercy endure forever. So, I just wanted to say that with, whatever you want to do in life, not everybody's on the same boat or whatever. And I just wanted to share that experience briefly. You're going to meet a lot of characters. What really broke the camel's back for me, the last and final straw, is we had a phone meeting, and another actress, her energy was off. Like, just human nature, you could just tell, like, when somebody don't like you. We've never met in person, so I'm like, for her to feel this way towards me, he must be talking about me, which I don't know what he could say, because he don't even know me. He would call me. That's another thing, boundaries. He would call me every day and tell me things about work, and it's like, okay, me being a new to this, I'm thinking, oh, is this what's required? You got to talk to the director every day. And no, if you do not want to talk to them, you do not have to. You let them know, like, hey, if it's not about the play that we're doing, set boundaries. That's what I learned. Like, do not call me after this time. If it doesn't have anything to do with the play, do not call me. I'm not interested. No offense, but yes. So he was talking about people. He never took accountability. And then I had asked him, like, yo, why is her energy off? Like, what's up with her? He was talking very negative about her. And that's when I realized, like, I don't want to work with somebody like him. Like, I don't want to work with a liar. I don't want to. And it's like, I had to really sit and think, like, it's too much going on. So I sent him a nice little text. And then he called me before reading the whole text. And he's like, I'm not a liar. And I said, you are a liar. You said you signed a contract and they said you didn't. And then you admitted. He was like, oh, I corrected it in the same sentence. No, you didn't. You would have never came out and said you didn't sign a contract unless if I did the research and I put you on blast. Then you came clean. And that's what like really pissed me off, that he didn't even want to admit his wrong. He talking about he admitted it in the same breath. No, you did not. No, you did not. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves, whether it be personal or not, is you have to admit you're wrong. How are you going to get better as a person and as a writer if you cannot take constructive criticism? And that was his second time, because I had told him before, I was like, where's your actors? Like, where's your people? He's like, don't worry, but he got offended. And so this last time, I'm like, I'm not going back and forth with you. Like, who is you? You're nobody. You're not a family member. You're not my son. You're of no importance to me. I'm not going back and forth with you. Like, just the ignorance and the immaturity. I was like, what? You know. And then it also taught me that everybody that's an adult is not grown. So he's like 47 years old. I'm 35, but at least at the end of the day, I can admit my wrong. First of all, I don't practice lying. I think that's like the dumbest thing that people do, because it's like the truth is gonna get found out. So I don't know why people sit there and lie. And there's so many people in my life that have done so, but as I'm getting older, I'm not tolerating that. Like, I'm not tolerating, the lies. I'm not. If you a person who lie, you have to go, because lies always start off with one lie, but a person will never lie to you about one thing. It's always more than one thing. It starts off with one scenario, and then it's other things. That even I have a homeboy, and he lied about why he didn't invite nobody to his wedding. I know he was lying. He had a private small wedding. Just say you couldn't afford a big wedding. Why are you saying, oh, things popped up, so we just went ahead and got married? What? You proposed 4 years prior, so I know it wasn't that's not no last minute wedding. Y'all was engaged for 4 years, because she wanted to make sure she finished school and stuff before she said I do. She's a smart girl, but yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to share that. It was a crazy thing that I went through, but I learned a lot from it. That it's so, just because you're a first-time actress, have your standards, know what you want. I know that I want positivity. I have my book has a little curse words, but it's all positivity. And people have said it to my face, like, wow, Crystal, you telling your story, you keeping it real. And I'm like, yeah, through poetry. And I think for my next book, I'm gonna just keep doing poetry. It's gonna be short stories, but it's gonna be in poetic form, so yeah, look out for that. As far as my acting goes, I think acting is probably not for me, because I can't see myself playing somebody's love interest and I'm not attracted to them. I don't know, I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind, but and I could only imagine what real actresses go through, that have sex scenes and kissing scenes with these men that's not attractive. It's a hard job. It's glamorous, and we love to watch movies and TV shows, but there's a lot that goes into it that you don't see and behind the scenes. And I got a little taste of that, and it was like, wow, that's not for the acting world is not for the weak. It's really not. Yeah, so what I really wanted to talk about was killing hip hop. So I'm like all over the place today. But killing hip hop. So what I wanted to ask my audience, what do you think is the reason? My personal, this is a conspiracy theory, but what I believe that hip hop was created as a social experiment for so to increase black on black crime, because I feel that all the black rappers that have died, they still be alive if they were not rappers. I really feel like they have, when you become a rapper, they have a hit on you, and it's a very dangerous job. So hip hop originally was supposed to be 50 years ago, it was supposed to be something positive. How it turned into a negative, I don't know. I think it's, what NWA, they try to raise awareness for social issues, and then Tupac, he kind of took it left. And then you have this gangster rap and all this negativity, and overall it's looked upon as a negative genre. A lot of people have passed away. There's more rappers who die than rock stars. And then Little Peep, he died from drug overdose. A lot of them die from drug overdose more than rock stars. So it's like, my question is, what is the real sinister reason for the industry in itself? Because you got R&B artists who died too, which I didn't even know. Like Marvin Gaye passed away, Prince passed away from fentanyl, Michael Jackson was murdered, Whitney Houston was murdered. So my question to y'all is, what is the real purpose of the music industry? Yes, they produce lovely music, but is it really a sinister reason to recruit Illuminati, murderers? Because it's just too many people dying mysteriously in the music industry. People die mysteriously in general, but I feel like the music industry is on another level of weirdness. Like, you have a person that's happy-go-lucky, they're a cool person, and when they get into the music industry, they become this demon. They become something totally different. Their family doesn't recognize who they are anymore. What is going on? You have your exceptions. You have your Ashantis. You have not everybody, I think, is in the Illuminati. But the great majority of these people are fucking weird. Like, what is going on? And I briefly talked about my little acting experience that never hit the stage. And that's what I wanted to talk about. So this script was so inappropriate. It had lingo and dialogue in there that just wasn't. It's about running trains and lesbians and stuff. And so one of the actresses says, "Oh, you could do this in my church." And I'm like, what church in their fucking right mind is going to have a play like that? I said, what? She's like, "Oh, that's the old church." Now, for me, I don't really know. I don't really go to church anymore. So when she said that, I'm like, well, she must know what she's talking about, because like me, I just visit. I'm not in the church like that no more. And mainly because it's like, you have people in there that like don't have morals. Let's keep it real. And for me, I like to relax on Sundays. And that's just my MO. It's a couple of other reasons too, but I like to relax on Sundays, so. But when she said that, I'm like, wow, she's a minister. I'm like, wow, that's so sad. You go to church every Sunday for what, really? You don't have no respect for yourself, first of all, as a woman, to even think that this script is okay. And number two, you don't have no respect for the church to even think that this is okay to perform in church. Like, that's crazy. Like, you talking about running trains, you talking about a rapist. And that's another thing. He incriminated himself, and we spoke privately. He said he was involved in an incident in his 20s. So it's like that's why I was saying, back to the writers. It all intertwines. Some of y'all might be looking like, what is she talking about? It's all about the same thing. So with this particular writer, when I was going to be in his play, the play was far-fetched, but not really. He said that it was an experience that he had in his 20s with being falsely accused, and he put it in a script with running a train on a girl. They was both drunk, X, Y, and Z. So I had texted him, and In that text, I said, there's too many red flags with you. But at the end of it, I said, I wish you well. And you need to educate people on human trafficking. You know, you need to educate people on, you know, you want to joke about pimping and stuff. I don't see the humor in that. I really don't. Like, I don't see what's funny about that. Especially, and this is the Me Too movement. And then it's like, you have 3 daughters. So it's like, you having 3 daughters, a mom and a grandma, you should be more sensitive to women's social issues. I don't know. But yeah, like, just the industry in general, you have people that have no conscience. You have people that just don't care. You have one of the artists, I don't know her name, but she was on Instagram, and she said when she was 20 years old, she had a baby, and right after she had the baby, they was like, oh, let's go. And you got jobs that's like that, but for the most part, they are compassionate. But she's like, they treated her like she was a rag doll. She just had a baby, and it was like, oh, back to showtime. It's like, damn, let the bitch heal, you know? So, you know, yeah, so the industry in itself, what is the motive with a lot of these producers? A lot of it is just to make money, but I feel like it's other things too, you know? Just like with this dude, it's like, at first I thought his motive was money because he was like very adamant about selling tickets. I told my people, don't buy no tickets because it's too many red flags with him, and I'm happy I did that. I didn't know he was going to postpone it, but it wasn't feeling right. So that's why I was like, you know, and then he postponed it again. I'm like, you going to postpone it again? I quit because I don't have time for this shit. Like, that's annoying. Like, you know, so, you know, yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, you know, what's up with the industry? What are y'all thoughts? I know in a previous video I talked about Nelly and Ashanti, but I didn't talk about the nitty-gritty of the industry. But what are your thoughts about the industry? Are things set up a certain way? People, deaths that die in the industry? What do you think about that? Those are my thoughts.